This is an example of how combat works in Rage. Start this off, we're going to have Carla here. She's going to go attack Roar of Storms in the other pack. Carla is the attacker, Roar of Storms is the defender. Now, all of the creatures that are involved in the combat, which is just these two in this case, can pick a card from their combat hand that they wish to play this round, or they can opt to play no card. Now, how do you tell what cards you can play from your combat hand? Now, basically all you need to do is look at the rage on the card. Do you have a rage greater than or equal to that? Yes, you can play the card. Does it have any other requirements on it? For example, this one. It says only characters in Krynos or Lupus form can play this card. Is Carla in Krynos? Yes, she is. So she can play this card, but in this case she's going to pick up this one. Roar of Storms up here. He has a rage of 5. He's going to pick up this card down here, which is a rage 2 card. Now, once players have indicated yes, they have finished their selections and they are ready to reveal their card, they simultaneously-ish reveal their card, and then they check and see if their cards are legal cards or bluffs. Cover bluffs and attack. But both of these have played a legal card, so they exchange the cards. They are now under the character as damage. And any damage effects that they would have take effect now. This one actually would affect the creature that played it, which was Roar of Storms. And this one is a damage effect that also affects Roar of Storms. So Roar of Storms, who was Rage 5, is now -2 rage for the rest of the combat. So he has effective rage of 3. The other thing he played says, I can't play a combat card next round, which is not ideal for him. So Carla can, at this point, since she's the attacker, she can continue attacking for another round, or she can withdraw and decide she's going to go home and has done enough damage. Well, since he can't play combat cards so far she knows, next round she's going to play another combat card. Perfectly legal one. I accidentally flipped Carla over. It should be in that form. So Roar of Storms has to sit there normally and just take it. So Carla flips up her card. But in the combat hand over here, he has a card that's called an instinctive combat action. When cards are revealed, if you were prevented from playing a card and someone else has played a card, you may then reveal an instinctive combat card. So in this case, it blocks damage. It blocks 3 damage, and bite did 3. So both of these combat cards would then be discarded, having done effectively nothing. Just move them out of the way. So Carla can then continue doing what she's doing. She can continue trying to fight. So now Carla looks at her hand again. She has only 1 damage. A block. And she has a combat card that she doesn't have enough rage to play. And requires her to be in Krynos form. She is in Krynos form, but she doesn't have enough rage. What she can do is she can try and fake it. What she's going to do then is, flip over the card, continues on, and she's going to hope Roar of Storms either plays no card this round, or he plays a card he cannot play because he doesn't have enough rage. So Roar of Storms' hand doesn't have anything he can legally play in it, so he's in a little bit of trouble here. So if he's going to bluff, he's going to go big. Normally you can only play 1 combat action per round. There are certain things that will let you play multiple combat actions per round, including this lovely block and strike here. So he's going to try that. He's going to go big. He might as well try it. He's going to play both. Oops. Carla knows something's up here. But both the players say, which is me in both cases here, say, okay, we're ready to go. Flip this up. And Carla has played a bluff. But Roar of Storms has also played a bluff, so all of the cards will now resolve legally. So Roar of Storms would take so much damage, he is now dead. This was blocked 2 damage here, even though, but still wasn't enough to save him. And Carla takes an additional 2, and she manages to live to see another day. However, what could have happened if he hadn't been wounded by this earlier, so that he had no damage from earlier, successfully avoided that somehow. So Carla flips up her great big bluff, and he did not have the diminished rage from earlier. So he has not only he's played 2 legal combat actions. So we look at that and go, oh, Carla's bluffing. She could not have actually played that, so it is discarded with no effect. And instead, Carla takes that damage. Now what she's taken is a type of card that's will force her to play random in the next round. This is a type of play called forced play. She must play a card, and she's going to have to play it randomly out of her hand. There's only 2 cards in her hand that are left in her hand, so it would be a 50-50 shot which one she plays. She is the attacker, so she could normally withdraw if she wanted, but we're going to make her stick it out for just the point of showing how this works. So, that's that. Now we're going to have Storms here. He plays that. It's definitely a bluff. And Carla plays a random combat card. Or not. I'm going to have to do that. So she would have randomly played this one, which is Blocking Strike. And so this card, Horror Storms can't legally play this. This is his great big bluff. So this succeeds. And then in the next round, because of what she just played, it says that she cannot play any cards of Rage 3 or higher next round, if she stuck it out for another round. That's a type of play that's called restricted play, which basically says you either must play X or you can't play X. It's usually one of those 2. You can be affected by both restricted play and forced play at the same time. So say she had this in here, and we'll put the Spine Crushed back in here. That's not normally how this works, but just for the example. So she goes to the next round, and we'll pretend that she still had the random play in effect. So if what happened here is she was then forced to play randomly, she doesn't get to pick which one is the right card. So say she had randomly played the bluffed Spine Crushed. Even if the bluff would have normally... you don't even get to the point where you check to see if this is a bluff. As soon as it's revealed that, oh, this is a card you couldn't play because you were in restricted play from this other one, the card is immediately discarded. So you're at the point where, oh, the other guy might actually be able to legally do something nasty to you. Alright, now let's reset this just a little bit. And I can demonstrate one other type of combat that we want to know how this works. This right here. Alright, so we're going to come over here and alright, and we're going to switch who the heck is. This time it's Gogol is going after poor little Roar of Storms. He's gonna start this off by playing Spirit of the Fray. Spirit of the Fray makes all of Gogol's combat actions fast striking. Now, so what normally happens here is normally combat cards resolve at exactly the same speed. If you have a combat card, something like this, that lets you become fast striking, you resolve your combat actions before the other guy's combat action resolve. You still normally check them the normal way, but they will actually resolve first. So let's try that. So I just didn't flip that over, just for make this go a little faster. So you do the normal comparison here to see, did either of you bluff? No, you didn't. Then the fast striking cards would resolve. In this case, it's a fast striking card played with a fast striking effect. You can't actually make something double fast striking. You also can't make something double slow striking. It either has the keyword or it doesn't. If you manage to get both of them on the same card somehow, it cancels out and is no normal speed card. So basically, this block would resolve first, completely resolves, it blocks this, fine. So, again, this is an example of the restricted play, so he's only got some specific things he can play. He has to play Desperate Struggles the next round because it's the only legal thing he can play out of his hand. And I'm just going to ignore this for now. Just getting these out of the way. So he's going to have to play that, and Storms is going to try a big old fat bluff. So now here is Desperate Struggles. Desperate Struggles is slow striking, but Gogol has made all his combat cards fast striking because both of them are on the same card. This card now resolves at exactly the same speed as where a Storm's card would resolve if it wasn't a big fat bluff. It's a big fat bluff. Compare them. So that's immediately discarded. Then you start the resolution process. And this resolves, does 1 damage. Gogol would draw a bunch more cards if I actually had additional cards in this deck, but it's just an example deck, so it does that. 1 damage there. And now Gogol can look at this, and he can go, whoops, I don't have the rage for either of these. Now, with this one, he doubly can't play this because he has neither the rage in this form, nor is he in Krynos form. He's currently in Hum. So if he wants to bluff, we can do that. I'm going to flip this over. In this case, and I'll flip this over. And what Gogol is going to do is, when both players have indicated that they are ready to reveal, instead he's going to say, I have no card. And you pick the card back up, and say, okay, now we proceed. So, Storms can resolve his combat action completely unopposed. Now, the other thing that Gogol has here, which is a very common item, is the Flak Jacket, which works as a block, and it can block the 4 damage here. So effectively, where Storms would do no damage, you just have to discard this. Or what Gogol could decide he wants to do is he will take the damage and just discard the Flak Jacket and ignore it, because he has to do that when he goes to Krynos, because he wants to go to Krynos. The way you go to Krynos, which I covered in a different video, is once you take damage equal to or greater than your rage, you will go to Krynos. So he would go to Krynos, and now he has both the rage and the proper form to use that Spine Crushed next round if he wishes. And that pretty well covers most of the basics of combat. I'm just going to go do a quick rundown of the formal steps for resolving how combat works. The first step is you play a card, or you choose you're not going to. Targeting. There was only one viable target in this combat, so it's not that relevant, but if you have multiple characters involved, it's going to be relevant. Reveal. That's when all your cards are all revealed. And that would be when instinctive cards are played as well, if you have any. Bluff. The bluff step, that's when you determine whether or not the opponent is bluffing or not. Resolution, you then determine what cards are actually start resolving cards. Your fast strikes all resolve, your normal strikes all resolve, and then your slow strikes all resolve. It didn't come up in this particular example, but you can have the option where if a character resolves their combat card, then it's fast striking, and they actually kill the other creature that had a combat card that was resolving at normal speed. The normal speed card will just not finish resolving because the character is dead before their action can resolve. Then the last step is the withdraw step. The attacker can announce that they're withdrawing from the combat. Any effects that say they take effect at the end of the round happen at that point before they actually withdraw. If the attacker withdraws, combat immediately ends. If the combat has not actually ended, you then have the between round step where you can play some combat events and stuff. Otherwise, then you go back to step 1 and start over and continue your next combat round. That sounded like it's really complicated on how long it takes, but generally most of the time it's going to be a quick pick your cards, say, yep, I'm ready, flip them, and resolve, without too much fuss. And I will do another video later that explains exactly how combat events work and how pack combat works. So it has a lot of the many sub-steps of combat then become relevant in some of those other settings.